Alrighty folks, I am Blunty, and I'm going to go ahead and assume you've seen part 1 of this 2-part series, in which I covered my budget Steam Machine clone, based on the Alienware Steam Machine. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into the premium build here, based on the Zotac SN970. A Steam Machine that is listed for $1,000, well, $999.99. And again, everything we're dealing with here is in US currency, just for the sake of ease. Now, when we come to the Zotac SN970, things get much more interesting than Alienware Steam Machine. See, this machine is built to appease those PC gamers unwilling to settle for laptop-grade GPUs and last-generation low-tier CPUs. But the Zotac 2, just like the Alienware, is designed to be slender, compact, elegant, and entertainment unit-friendly. But it does this without compromising on much more up-to-date gaming hardware. Inside, a new Skylake quad-core i5-6400T CPU, 8GB of RAM, a GPU carrying the current generation architecture from NVIDIA, a GTX 960, and yes, I noticed that too. The model number of this machine is SN970, yet it carries within it a GTX 960. And that seems a little off to me, maybe even deceptive, but we'll push past it. Also on board, a terabyte of hard drive space. It even has one of those new USB Type-C connectors on it, and an M.2 slot. So it's all very up-to-date, very modern, and very competent as a gaming machine, it seems. And my attempt to clone this little monster goes like this. An Intel Core i5-6400 CPU, which is clocked higher than the less power-hungry 6400T version in the Zotac. And that's $189 currently, with a $10 discount listed. And as the Skylake CPUs don't come with stock coolers, we'll be pairing that with a low-profile Deepcool Gamer Storm Gabriel cooler for $40 after a current discount. And why a low-profile cooler? Well, we'll get to that when I show you the case I chose. But for the motherboard, the Gigabyte G1 Gaming GAZ170N. Now, there are cheaper options out there that will get the job done just fine for this build, but I've gone with this particular model as we're not digging down to a price as much here as we are looking for the best balance of price and feature set and performance. So, I've gone for a mini ITX over the slightly cheaper micro ATX motherboard options, as I'm also looking to keep it as small and unobtrusive as possible under the TV, because again, that's kind of one of the points of the Steam machines. They're supposed to be a bit console-like. Also here on this Z-series chipset, or possibly Z-series chipset, depending on where you come from, we have the option to go for an overclockable CPU in the upgrade path. And this model has onboard Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, something that my budget clone didn't have. With a listed discount of $30, the price comes down to $135. Damn good value for the feature set on hand here, I'd say. Once more, we're spending a few bucks extra to go for a highly reputable brand of RAM, the HyperX Fury DDR4 2400 in a dual-channel kit for 8GB total at $57. For the hard drive, once again, my preferred brand for mechanical drives, a Western Digital. This time I've gone for the snappier, quieter Black Series model, a terabyte at 7200 RPM, currently listing at $70 after a $30 instant rebate. The case I've chosen is a Zimatec Nebula Mini ITX. It seems like a nice solid case, built from steel, not plastic, and a really attractive, subtle, minimal, and very, very clean style to it that will be right at home under the TV. It also seems to have decent cable management for a case of this size, important for proper airflow, especially so in a gaming rig where things will be being pushed and heat will be being generated. The case even has a little corner cut out for some coloured detail, just like the Alienware. And it's just $60, which feels like a bargain to me. And inside it's very compact, tight you might even say, hence why we went for the low profile cooler and a short version of the graphics card, but we'll get to the card in a second. The power supply. I went for a Corsair CX series, a brilliant, reliable brand. We're never going to have a worry with this thing. 500 watts for $52 after a discount, which, while 500 watts is more than we need here, in a gaming rig it's always nice to have a bit of overhead, both for efficiency's sake and for the upgrade path, if you ever decide to swap in a hungrier graphics card, for example. And finally, of course, the GPU. I went with a Gigabyte GTX 960 in a mini ITX flavour that has the short length we need to get it inside this case, listing right now at a friendly $180. And all up, we're coming in at a total cost of $785, which, even accounting for the extra $50 for a Steam controller, is still well under the $999.99 that the Zotac SN970 lists at. We'll call the difference an even 165, and pretending that your time is valueless, that price difference could easily be spread across upgrades. For example, it is enough to move right up to the unlocked, overclockable 6600K version of the i5 CPU. Although, in a case this tight, getting proper cooling for an overclock would be an interesting challenge. Alternatively, the difference is just enough to even switch from the GTX 960 to the mini ITX-friendly GTX 970 from Asus, should you want to be pushing your graphics settings further into Ultra territory. Once more though, even as my clone build is ever so slightly more powerful thanks to the full desktop version of the CPU instead of the slightly underclocked, less power-hungry T variant in Zotac machine, my clone is also significantly larger, and heavier, and less console-like, and probably more power-hungry, and likely slightly noisier too. So, like a lot of things in PC gaming, it's a cost versus convenience thing. The Zotac is an attractive, bespoke, carefully engineered mini gaming PC, all set to go for high-performance PC gaming right out of the box, while my clone is a DIY jobby likely to at least be a moderately challenging build, as most mini ITX builds can get a bit fiddly trying to work in such restricted spaces. I wouldn't call it especially difficult, but, I wouldn't recommend it for a first-time builder, for example. And for some people, the very act of building the rig is rewarding in and of itself. For other people, it's work. So, once again, I invite you to leave your comments, argue back and forth about which is the better option for you or for other people and why you should build your own, or perhaps you've got different ideas about the componentry I should have used in this build. I think I did a pretty good job of cloning sort of an equivalent power-wise machine and coming in well under budget in this case. But this is the internet, so I don't even have to ask you for your opinion, do I? You're already typing it. Just keep it civil. We know how these PC gaming arguments can get, but try hard to be a regular person and realize you're talking to regular people. Please, for me. Do it as a favour for me. Also, as a favour for me, do the thing with the thumbs and stuff. But I am Blunty. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time.